not only is there such a huge body of knowledge in the world, what we call relative knowledge, knowledge of things, knowledge of the body, knowledge of medicines, knowledge of plants, knowledge of wood, knowledge of how things fit together, mechanics, so much knowledge is there. A vast ocean of knowledge that one has to traverse in their lifetime. There's also, once one's inquiry has been opened, to ask the real question, what is the purpose of us being on this ocean? And how is my boat? What kind of boat am I sailing in? And what kind of waters am I sailing in? There's also, once one starts to ask this question, what is the purpose of sailing this boat? And where am I reaching? And where have I come from? And what is the state of this ocean? And what is my relation to it? Then one starts to inquire. And in that inquiry, there is such a deeper layer of knowledge also that one can go actually through their whole lifetime and not even scratch the surface of, not even have a concept of what deeper knowledge could be. And what it is, you mean my purpose is not just to work, to have a family, to contribute something to my society and to get old and die? That's not the entire, that's not the whole thing. And so once one starts scratching below that surface a little and starts to discover yet a kind of hidden ocean, you could say, which is sometimes equally treacherous and so vast also in what is offered. So many concepts of what it is, how it is, and what it is that one is trying to achieve in their lives as far as a deeper meaning, to know themselves at a deeper level and to know what their purpose is at a deeper level. So I wanted to talk a little about the fundamental points that have helped me on this ocean of deeper inquiry, that have kept me centered. It's like creating a rudder in my own boat that goes quite deep, so you're not pulled and pushed by every current of new spiritual idea and all the presentation of spirituality. So upon what foundation are you now, with this open knowledge, open inquiry as to the purpose of your life, what foundation are you building this on? What is helpful? Because one can also, having opened this knowledge, can also get quite overwhelmed by every teacher saying a different thing. And maybe you'll come to the satsang one time, maybe a few times, and you'll go and be influenced also by other teachers and other things that are on the internet and books that you read. And there's so much knowledge. There's an ocean of knowledge out there about what it is that a person is really truly looking for. And everything will be influenced and colored by the person who is speaking, or the person who is speaking through words, and written words, spoken words. I would say the first pillar is to be able to discern between the changing and unchanging. And I speak this very often in satsang. This is not a concept, and it's helpful to be able to lay these pillars in something which has been your direct experience, or you have directly been able to perceive it for yourself, as opposed to information you have received from someone else. So a real teacher will direct you how for you to see the knowledge from within you, not just accept my words or someone's words or ideas. So this is something we talk about very often in satsang, being able to discern the changing from the unchanging. I probably mention it in every satsang because it is really fundamental. And this is highlighted in meditation when we sit and we watch. All thoughts are of change, but the awareness observing thoughts is not changing with the thoughts, which is to say the observer never becomes the observed. So in this practice of being able to discern the observer from the observed, that's a great rudder for you to have. because you don't have to depend on anyone's opinion or idea or teachings for that. It's something you can directly experience and observe within yourself. Another really helpful, steadfast pillar of knowledge that you can start to inquire and explore, and what I wanted to particularly explore today, was that a human being experiences 3 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and sleeping. They're described as states of consciousness. So waking, we're all very familiar with. Dreaming, we're all very familiar with. Deep sleep, we're not so familiar with that as a state of consciousness. We more tend to, or the tendency can be, to think it's the period of nothingness. And then we only really register sleep through registering dreams, which is the stirring of the waking state. So dream state and waking state are very similar in that they stir the mental functioning. In dream, there's less association through the senses. So you can see things in your dream. You can see a person who has died, for example, and you have a dream of them. You see them in your dream as if they were alive. But in your waking state with these eyes, you won't see that. You can experience things in your dream, like you can experience flying, for example, which you can't experience in your waking state. So there's a looser attachment to your sensual world in dream. You can dream that you're in Canada. Where are you from originally? Switzerland. You can dream that you're in Switzerland. Then you wake up and you're in New Zealand. In the dream, it was very real. But when your senses woke up in the waking state, your senses now put it together that you're in New Zealand. So what defines really the difference between dreaming and waking is this sensual relationship, the relationship we have, the mind has with our senses. We make more sense also mentally in our waking state. When you have a dream, some people really get into making meaning in the dream, but mostly we don't apply so much meaning. We wake up, we go, maybe at most we give it attention to just recall a crazy dream, or some unusual dream or a disturbing dream. But we relate it as a kind of, we don't really give it so much meaning, more like we're relating a fantasy. If you have a dream that you murder someone, for example, which would be a horrible dream, you don't wake up in a dilemma, what to do now? Where am I going to hide the body? Like, do I report this to the police? Do I run to Switzerland and try and get out of New Zealand in time? You don't make any plans. So you're not making so much sense of the dream as you do in the waking state. So the physical senses and also the mental sense is engaged in the waking state. So far, I think that you're seeing what I'm speaking within yourself. You're not I'm not asking you to believe anything, right? You're able to perceive this within yourself. And this is the purpose of satsang. Satsang means, can you associate with what is true? Sat means true. Sang means the association with. Satsang, can you associate now with what is true as opposed to what you have been told? What you have maybe read, but have not directly experienced or seen, perceived within yourself. So always is this getting in touch with the Sat. So waking state, dream state, we can perceive the difference between, and then we have this state where the senses, both mental sense and the physical senses, are totally indrawn. They don't die. They don't get destroyed. They stop functioning. And in that way, it's described as a kind of indrawing. And because the mental sense is not there to register anything, we tend to say it's nothing. And yet you think about it now, what is one thing we treasure almost more than food, or on par with food maybe, and on par with love? and company and good friendship is sleep, because it is something we cannot do without. We value it so much that we make a whole room in our house dedicated for that thing. We spend money on mattresses to make that experience totally as peaceful and as easy as possible, to facilitate as much sleep as possible, or a most comfortable sleep as possible. So it means that we value it, right? We value sleep, and yet we have a sense, oh, it's nothing. If it's nothing, why do we value it so much? Even the way our society is structured is so much around letting people have time for sleep. Shops close down, mostly. Maybe some emergency things stay open, obviously, but mostly shops and facilities. Carpenters and traders and lawyers and doctors are not working. Or maybe doctors are. Lawyers get off easier. And accountants and people working in offices, they're not working at night. So the whole structure of our society is also facilitating that everyone get enough time for sleep. Can you imagine if our societies were facilitating, and we facilitated in our own personal life, enough time for meditation? We made it that valuable that everything closed down at midday and says everyone needs to take an hour for meditation. It's almost unthinkable. I used to find it amazing as a meditator when, at the time, still back in the 80s, when I would fly back and forth to India. At that time, they still accommodated smokers on the planes. And I would think, look, they never will create a little section for meditators that we don't have to sit in these horrible seats, that we can just sit on the ground, because we're used to sitting on the ground. Give us just a little corner that we can sit on the ground. They wouldn't conceive of it, but they will accommodate smokers, which is bad for your health. They can be in this area, the smokers at that time. They're at the back of the plane. I think a time before that, they were smoking throughout the plane. And they had, remember, on the armrests, they had little ashtrays. It's incredible, really. Waking state, dream state, sleep state. There is a fourth state of consciousness that is described simply as self. Yourself. Because what do you call yourself when you say I or I am? Are you saying I am waking, I am dreaming, or am I sleeping? You say them all, right? So is the I am wakeful, dreaming, or sleeping? You cannot say it's one or the other. And yet you cannot say that all those three states are the same. So we start to tune in now on this inquiry. Even if we go into the waking state, what is the nature of the waking state? Thinking, feeling, acting, interacting with people, speaking, cleaning ourselves, feeding ourselves. And with all these activities, we say, I am. I'm sleeping, I am eating, I am bathing, I am talking, I am working, I'm feeling, I'm thinking, I'm remembering, I'm planning. And that doesn't even start in the whole field of the emotions. I am angry, I'm sad, I'm lonely. All this body of experience, what remains throughout, constant, I am. So this I am simply is described as self. What is one's sense of self? Is it many? And in that many, is it divided? We start to think of this in satsang, because satsang is self-inquiry, the inquiry into what is the nature of the self. Now, is the self that is associated with this body the same that is associated with this body? One will start to think, well, no, not at all. But then if your mother comes now, and I say, is your mother associated with you? Well, yes, she's associated with me because she's my mother. But you're not associated with me because you're yet not known to me. So now we have divided and separated. This belongs to the self, but that doesn't belong to the self. And all these things that we do without even recognizing that we're doing them And all throughout the experience of waking, which is multidimensional, as we just touched on it, all the differences and the different experiences and the different aspects of the waking state, the nature of the dream state, the reality of being asleep, and yet we always are saying, I am. It is like a thread that is going through. And this is described as a fourth state of consciousness, although the word fourth is a bit misleading, because really it should be described as the first state of consciousness, because it is underlying. It is the very underlying state from which three states emerge. And yet we only put the attention on the three states and not so much on this first state / fourth state, to be confusing. It really is only described as a fourth state, meaning we know these three states. They're obvious. We're conscious of them. Now there's another state. And this state is not, as some people can imagine through spiritual teachings, up there somewhere. That divinity is somewhere over there that I have to reach. Or a higher state of consciousness is only attainable when, if, buts, all this conditional sense that we get into. But if we start to see this transcended state, this as an underlying state, now we can start to really open the inquiry deeper into really examining something within ourselves. So I keep this as a pillar, that there are 4 states of consciousness, not only 3. And the 3 states of consciousness, waking, sleeping, and dreaming, come out of one underlying state of consciousness. Through meditation, which is the practice of being not engaged and making important or making real, as in having the utmost value, your thoughts. They take secondary value. They have their value. They're very valuable in a way, but they are not valuable in this inquiry to understand, why are you here on earth? Why did you take birth? What is your purpose while you are here in this body, on earth, interacting with everything? And ultimately, what is that phenomena that we call death? And what is that? Something we don't wish upon our loved ones, and yet inside we know we have to let our loved ones go to this state that we call death. So in this inquiry, if we start to examine these 3 states of consciousness through the practice of discerning, changing from unchanging, what is described as unchanging is the 4th state of consciousness. And it is not only a state, it is pure intelligence. And this leads me to the 3rd pillar. What is the nature of the 4th state of consciousness? It will be a concept, first of all, but we'll go into a meditation so it becomes your direct experience. So first, just receive this as a concept, as information. There are 3 Sanskrit words. Sat, which we already described as what is true. Chit, meaning pure consciousness. Aanand, pure love. Pure joy. Pure bliss. Sat, Chit, Aanand. These 3 words describe the 4th state of consciousness. Sat meaning true as in unchanging, not coming and going in the changing states of consciousness. Therefore, it's true. It's not true as in information true, opinion true, politically correct true, a truth that is based on our society's trends and culture and traditions, not that kind of truth. These are changing truths. Because what is true for this culture was not true for the 4th century culture, maybe. What is true for someone on this side of the world is not necessarily true for someone on the other side of the world. So it is not conditional to our cultural trends, our political trends, our political ideologies. Not that kind of truth, but a truth that is unchanging. What is unchanging? Consciousness, Chit. Not what we think, but the very power of thinking. Because what we all think, even in this room, what we think will differ. But the very power that gives rise to thinking is the same. You have a power to think. You have a power to think. You have a power to think. And I have a power to think. The power is actually not individual. And this now takes a little time for it to become your direct experience. How it is that that power to think, the underlying, unchanging state, how that is what is described as your true self. This is self-discovery through self-inquiry and the unfoldment of self-knowledge. So let's close our eyes first, and then I'll open it for your questions and discussions. We'll take 15 minutes now. The principle of meditation is not to make things that are changing important. As soon as we close our eyes, our physical sense of sight becomes quiet. You're not speaking, you're not doing, you're not having to respond, so you don't have to make decisions. You are just sitting, and you cannot say that you are not, even though you are not thinking and doing, making decisions, and all of that action. But you cannot say that you do not exist. You exist in terms of you are conscious. So consciousness and existence then come together. Sat, existence, pure, true. Chit, consciousness, pure, meaning unconditional. And love and joy and peace and freedom, Aanand, that we will talk about a little more. But for now, just do the exercise or the practice. Bring your attention to yourself, observing thoughts, not into the meaning of the thoughts themselves. And you'll notice that thoughts are coming and going. You cannot hold one thought for this whole 15-minute practice. To help in this practice, you can say, I am pure awareness. You can either repeat it or you can just reflect upon it. I am pure awareness, meaning the awareness that you are is not changing with the changing thoughts. Many thoughts, one continuous state of I am. I am. That I am is unchanging. Therefore, it's described as ever present. It is also ever present, as in it is not a form, which is to say, you are, as the I am conscious existence, not a form. You are a presence. That presence is not bound in thought. Thought is of past, future. Your true self is of presence. And that presence can be simply described, I am. In Sanskrit, the word is hum. And you can repeat this hum like a mantra. Hum. The power to repeat is always there. Hum. This hum didn't come out of nowhere. It didn't come out of the computer or the floor or a chair. It arose because you are the power that gives rise to all that you observe. In Sanskrit, the word for ever-present, unchanging, is amaram. Amaram. Amaram hum. I am ever-present, unchanging light of awareness. Sounds, they come and they go. They do not disturb your meditation. Just as thoughts that come and go do not disturb your meditation. Nothing can disturb that which is always present. Sat, Chit, Aanand. Sat, what is unchanging, ever-present existence. Chit, what is unchanging, pure perception or consciousness, awareness. Amaram hum. I am the state that underlies all change, underlies all experiences, underlies all thoughts as a great, immense, and deep power. And when we can tap into that power and bring this up to be most valued, and we bring it at the centermost of our lives, and that all comes from this, all is seen in the light of this, then we will experience and observe the unfoldment in our lives of Aanand, joy, love, freedom. But not as an experience, but is in that complete union with yourself as that power. Because all those who are seeking through power, through achievements, through what they have or how they appear, are all actually seeking for this inner recognition of themselves, pure love. Amaram ham, Madhuram ham. I am love. Amaram ham, Madhuram ham. I am love. You're on time. Feel free to keep your eyes closed and stay in meditation if you feel you need a little longer. If you feel ready to open your eyes, just gently rub the palms of your hands, cup your eyes. And so we can make this observation and meditation. What is Sat? What is Chit? Meaning what is unchanging, pure I am. And consciousness, I am awareness, unchanging. Which leads me to Aanand, which can literally be described as bliss, but needs a little refinement of understanding, because we tend to think bliss as a feeling, and love as a feeling, and freedom as a feeling, and joy as a feeling. And it's very simple how to distinguish these things as a feeling, which is temporary bliss, or you could say reflected bliss, and what is that which is original and empowering within yourself, not something that you have dependent upon a situation or a person or a certain idea even to bring you that bliss. So when we can distinguish it from a feeling, we start to tap into what it is that we are really truly wanting in this inquiry. What is the purpose of our lives? We're not just engaging as an academic study. It's not, we've come here because we want to study something. We've come here all because we want to know what is love. But in order to really understand what is love, what is freedom, and this being the highest purpose of one's life, which is to say, how can I not be in conflict with myself and with other people? What remains would be love, right? If I was to be able to take away conflict, hatred, prejudice, division, separation, loneliness, anger, jealousy, hatred, wouldn't it be clear then that was really wanting to say you're wanting love? Not only are you wanting to live in love, that you want others also to live in love, not only so that you get a break, that they're not hassling you with their problems, but because we do genuinely have a sense that all should be in love. But the more conditional is that love, the more it will be my love, not your love. Love for me and my family is all good, but not love for you and your family. So there's Russian love and Ukrainian love, and they're clashing right now One thinks only love for me and my countrymen and countrywomen, but you can't have love for them because they've got another label. So shoot them, kill them, which is the ultimate non-loving state, only because you haven't included them in yourself. So real love has to be unconditional, undivided. Unconditional, undivided, and you will never find that which is unconditional, undivided in an experience or in an idea. It just never will be. I'll save you a whole lifetime of searching for an idea that will bring love and unity and resolution to conflict. And with all sense of love, one is looking, this love is the right love, and anyone who's not in this love, according to these conditions, are excluded from love. As soon as you divide, you have conflict. So what is the purpose of talking about the changing and unchanging existence, consciousness, the I am state, the underlying state, the three states of consciousness? All of this that we've talked is ultimately to bring us to the question, how can we live in love? In essence, one is asking, how can I be in love, which is meaning free from the conflict and the struggle within my own self? Because one can never speak of love really unless they're really able to tap into knowing where's the source of love in one's own undivided consciousness. So this brings the three words I thought to talk about today: Sat, Chit, Aanand. Pure existence, pure consciousness, pure love. This is the nature of my true self. So now, whatever you come in contact with as you go along in your lives with all other spiritual teachings or life teachings, however you want to call them, deeper teachings, meaningful teachings, this will always be a great rudder for you and a great point where you won't get lost and drowned in a whole ocean of ideas of spirituality. Because I think I haven't said anything that you have to believe in. Only that which you start opening the inner visions to start to perceive things as they are, not as we push for them to be through our ideas. And push our ideas. This is how we reach love, through these ideas, through these actions, through these things, or very much through the renunciation of these things. You can only get to love when you renounce this, when you do these things and you don't do these things. Now you'll be so attuned to what unconditional means: Sat, Chit, Aanand. Pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. So now you'll be able to do your own study. Is this perceived within myself as being true? Now, true doesn't mean as in information true, which at this time in our lives seems to be all upside down and inside out. Because they're looking for truth through information, and that is disturbing. But when you can start to tap into truth being your state, your absolute original state of being that no one can take away from. There's one more pillar. Now we've got a square house. One more pillar. Yes, John was disturbed by a triangular house. I was too a little. Just occurred to me now. I said 3 Sanskrit words so far, right? Now there's going to be 2 more. And I spoke it in the meditation. Amaram ham, madram ham. Amaram, what is that which is unchanging, ever-present, indestructible? Madhuram, what we have spoken about with unconditional bliss. Keeping it as the 4th pillar in your study. And self-inquiry, satsang, is a self-study. It's not just self, it's studying self as life. So it's a life study, but we have to say the word self because otherwise life is interpreted as all the things in life, not life itself. What remains free from body born, body dying. What is that which is not subject to body born, body dying? If it is subject to being born and dying, it is of the appearance. It is of things. It is of experiences. It is of the changing. What is that is indestructible? And this has to be also your deep perception that starts to unfold through your meditation practice. You will come to realize that the I am is not born and the I am does not die. You're a doctor, you'll see many bodies dying, and one will interpret, and it's only interpretation, that when the body dies, the I am dies. The being dies, the consciousness dies. It only stops associating with that form. Because remember, the I am state is not personal. It is the underlying ground of all movement, all manifestation, all things, all obvious things to be perceived through the senses. So if I am was to die with body dying, then one body dying, it would mean that all bodies would have to die right then and there because the I am would die. But that same I am, if I'm watching a dead body, the same I am that is me is still functioning through this body. So the I am did not die. The sap in the tree. If you cut a tree, you don't kill the life force, which is the kind of sap of all trees. So you cut one tree. If you cut sap, all trees would also suddenly die because you're cutting the sap of which all trees are nourished. It's not an exact example, but we use these examples to bring close to the idea of what is that which is the same and runs through all differences. What do plants all share? Sap. Whether you're a cactus, whether you're a rose, whether you're a totara tree, or whether you're a little daisy, you all have something in common, the sap. So that sap is just symbolic of what do we all have in common? Sat, Chit, Aanand. All want to exist. All are conscious. And all want to live in love and know love and share love. So when this, which is described as this I am state, or fourth state of consciousness, the fourth pillar would be this is not born and this does not die. In the lifelong study of these truths, what I have noticed is so much more power, love, kindness, joy, union, and sense of well-being in my life. And it was not always there. Some people can look and say, well, you were born in a very privileged country, in a privileged family, and you've always had fortune. You're not living in Ukraine and having to fight for your life, try and protect your family's life. You're not living in places where you're being suppressed. You're not living in countries that you can't get enough food. Yes, it's true. New Zealanders are extremely privileged, and we live in a relatively unconflicted country. We're not at war on an obvious level, but one can be at war within themselves. And I certainly was at war within myself. And the worst kind of war is the war where you cannot pin any excuse on it. I didn't know why. I felt so uneasy and dissatisfied from within, having such a difficult relationship with my own mind that was filled with negativity and judgment and complexes and insecurities. And I felt like I had absolutely no power how to change that mind, and certainly could not live with that kind of a mind that we actually would discover is not my mind, but the state of human mind. In that deeper conflict, it led me to meditation and my meditation practice, because it was regular. And that's the fifth pillar. satsang along with meditation, which means self-inquiry and the practice of sitting. If satsang was like a formula, the wisdom teachings given to you as I sat, your true nature is Sat Chit Aanand Amramham Madramham. Now, after 1 hour, you've got a sense of what that means. Look how I've been able to condense it to a formula. Now, you take that formula like a scientist and you bring it into your laboratory and you put it under your microscope, and now you're going to make it self-evident, not just information. That's the meditation. Bringing it under your microscope, close your eyes and you're looking with your inner eye, the microscope of inquiry. And you are starting to know, okay, now I watch this in my mind. I watch this in other people's minds. I watch this conflict in the world. I watch this conflict in myself. How does it stand up against what I have learned, what I have been able to perceive? Can I make this now my direct perception? Who am I? I am Sat Chit Aanand, ever pure existence, ever conscious light of awareness and unconditional love. And then you work with that and you become what you practice. If you keep practicing negativity, judgment, self-condemnation, or condemnation of others, if you keep practicing ambition and striving and reaching and acquiring, you will live that. Because what you practice is what you become. But if you take this knowledge like formulas and you can practice them, even if you practice them for a few minutes, and this is what I said about the fifth pillar, regularity. Make satsang and meditation, even if it's for a few minutes in your day, regularly valuable in some way. And we offer many means. You can listen to recordings, you can come and join in person, you can speak to your friend, you can read certain scriptures or certain inspired words. And most of all, your own meditation practice. You take all of this, and if you tap into it for 5 to 7 minutes in your day, or just even a short time, which means you make it valuable, then you will watch the result of this knowledge starting to unfold. And it's not maybe just a sudden shift. It's often a slow transformation, but the transformation is very deep. And once it goes deep, no one can take it from you. That your circumstances may be challenging. You may lose a loved one in terms of losing association with their bodies, but you can never be thrown away from yourself because your knowledge becomes so deep that you can never lose yourself. And that is the worst pain than famine or war. Because even in war, not that we wish it upon anyone, but I've heard stories, people can have a great sense of pride and accomplishment and camaraderie and nobility and fearlessness that arises in the face of war that can give them a sense of incredible purpose. A war like Afghanistan, for example, when you're an American and you come home and you had all that energy and all that adrenaline and really strong purpose, and then you come back. And we know that the state of mind that these vets come back and they're now not fulfilling their purpose as a courageous hero. They're suddenly like, well, I'm displaced because my mind got so blown from its reality of just gaining a small piece of the pie, get married, have kids, work, build up money, build up some insurance, have some kind of retirement fund, get old, watch your body start deteriorating and die. They're suddenly mind blown that I can't go and do that anymore because I've seen too much. And they're in an existential state that is more painful than what they experienced in war. So don't undermine or underestimate the state of one's inner disquiet and inner conflict within themselves. That's really where we're turning the attention. And don't get distracted too much, although, of course, we don't disclude anything, but not that we should become so distracted with the outer conflict that we cease making what is really valuable at the center. You cannot be any help to anyone in any conflicted circumstance if one is not full and complete and established in their own rudder. If their boat is not able to sail with their own clear rudder, then two boats on the same water just getting pulled and pushed by the currents of situations, pulling them here and there. What do you think now?